Yeah, no, for the Pride, like, you know, speaking specifically about like Pride parades and like the entire month of June celebrating Pride, if it's a thing that like people are inviting children to and like people like, you know, in Gen Z and things like that, and like you see like genitalia just like out and like people just naked and stuff like that, I'm like, that's not sending a good message. They're gonna view you guys as all sexual and all lustful and stuff, no self-respect or anything like that. And like I just don't like personally agree with that. But then also they view disagreeing with them about their lifestyle as being homophobic when that's completely different things, and they're literally training people like, no, if people disagree with you about who you are, about the life that you live, they're homophobic, they're scared of you, they want to be away from you, and I do not agree with that.
When I went to my first Pride event, I was 17, and I was like, oh, people like me, I get to be out here, and you know, and while I was there looking at the float, there was a drag queen that was performing, she's fierce, and it was all great. But then there was this like a go-go dancer right next to her, and she performed a sex act on him right there in front of me, and I was 17, and I was one of the older people. There were kids and stuff, and everybody was cheering and celebrating, and I just felt like this wipe out from me, like, is this what that is supposed to be? But for me, that was way too much. And in my line of work, I do work with kids, and I'm hyper aware of what they're exposed to. I'm very protective of kids.
When I was 8 years old, I was introduced to homosexuality through watching the show RuPaul's Drag Race. That's what really introduced me to that, right? The Bible talks about in Matthew chapter 6 how our eyes are the lamp to our body, and if we allow darkness into our eyes, we allow darkness into our body. All of those who are in the LGBTQ community, but some are pushing this demonic agenda on the kids because kids' minds are sponges. And when you show them that being a man and a man and a woman being together is okay, they're gonna grow up thinking, okay, I can do the same thing. And when you do that, you're turning a whole nation into, you know, no procreation, none of these things. It's an antichrist agenda, especially in the education now where they're teaching kids about gay sex and transgenderism is okay and all that stuff. I feel like that thing is wrong, and I feel like it's a call to repentance, to turn back to the Lord and really just stop that stuff when it comes down to the kids.
To me, I'm conflicted because I know that the gay rights movement has done a lot of good. Yeah. Like if it wasn't for the gay rights movement, there would literally still be people who are killed today just because they face homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? It's just that, okay, we can see these individuals as equal and we don't want to kill them anymore. And that's partly Christians. Christians are to blame. Like we would kill like gay people.
And trans people are still murdered. I have 3 personal friends of mine who have been murdered for who they are. And so that's why I step forward, partially because I do think sometimes there are overtly sexual things that are maybe done in front of kids. And like I say this as a drag entertainer. I don't like to perform in front of any kids because I'm very much like, keep your kids at home. Because also they're not even tipping me anyways. A lot of times they're loud, they're annoying, they're spilling, if I'm at a drag brunch, they're spilling food everywhere. Not my thing. Well, I do think it's important to teach kids about safe sex and all types of sex, whether it be homosexual, bisexual, whatever type of sex. I think it's like an age thing.
To me, like I actually attended quite a few Pride festivals and they were amazing. I loved them. I was so excited to be there, but that was because I identified. And it was the first place that I ever felt truly welcomed. And I think as Christians, we need to make more spaces where LGBTQIA, they can come into the churches and feel welcomed and feel safe. But do I agree that holding Pride festivals are a good thing? No, I don't agree, because once again, being gay, I do believe is a sin, and that does something to the land. Like when we celebrate that, when we celebrate these festivals, it does bad things to the land. You know, it can cause earthquake, diseases, all this stuff to start to happen according to the Bible.
I think we need to separate the idea of pride and public acts of sex. Those are not the same thing. But also, I'm a mom of 9-year-old twins, and we are the ones who put meanings on things for our children. Bodies are not bad. So even if our kids see some an exposed body part, we don't automatically say that that's bad, because it's not. But we do talk about how some people might feel that that is negative and some people might feel that is as positive.
I think there's like biblical precedents to that. Like God created us naked from the very get-go. But then now, once again, with the introduction of sin, that's where lust can creep its way in. And so a child that maybe saw a penis genitalia, something might happen there where had they not been exposed to that, maybe they would have remained a little bit more innocent.
I definitely want my kids to stay innocent, you're right. Like, I'm not like, look at this, you know, to me that is absolutely harmful. But if we are in the world, or even at a Pride festival, which They love my kids. They feel so much of God's love in Pride. They are drawn to it because they see God's goodness and love reflected in it, and they see their moms who they love reflected in it. They have no definition of bad in that.